You're listening to the Let's Go Buffalo podcast, your new favorite podcast for everything Bills and Sabres. What's going on, everybody? You're listening to the Let's Go Buffalo podcast, your favorite podcast for all things Bills and Sabres, with the pals, Nigel, Tom, and Jake. Episode 27 coming at you. Don't forget to follow our social medias. You can find us at Let's Go Buff Pod. That's Buff with 2 F's on Instagram, X, YouTube, and Jake, are we live on the old TikTok?
We're live on Talk, baby. Yeah, same handle.
Yeah. I gotta add that to my opening spiel here. So yeah, TikTok as well. Again, that's Let's Go Buff Pod, Buff with 2 F's. And let's say hello to the fellas. Tom, how we doing, pal?
I'm good. What's up, buddy? Doing really
man.
well. We're doing really well. Just hanging, having a good little week. I'm good. Jake,
Thanks, buddy.
how are you, buddy?
I'm good. I went to the dentist today. I got scammed by the dentist.
Nice.
Trying to charge me like $1,000 for some laser reductive hip dysplasia fucking surgery.
Bro, I'll do that for
something like
500.
that. I'm like, I've been to the dentist every year since I was a kid, and every time it's been fine. So I think I found a sham dentist, not an issue with my teeth. But maybe, look in the camera and tell me otherwise.
I've been telling you since 2018, bro. You gotta stop going to the dentist for your hips. It's not the place to go, bro. That's why they're charging you so much.
I knew there was a reason, but
you're seeing the wrong person for the wrong ailment, my guy.
Well, fuck, dude, you invoice me. Yeah, I'll let you take a look at my gums.
I'll look at whatever you want me to look at, dude. Your gums, your knees, your freaking butthole, dude. I don't care. They all probably need to be checked out.
They're all equally dirty. So
yeah, well, let's get them a one-stop shop. Get your oil change at the same spot too.
Nigel's at-home medical clinic. Yikes! All righty. Yeah. Well, fellas, me personally, I am insanely overdue to enjoy a beer with you guys on this podcast. I'm finally home. I have my new little setup here in mi casa, and with my home comes my fridge. And so here we are, boys. So I'll give us a nice little countdown here, and let's have one, shall we? Ready? 3, 2, 1. Yes, sir. Cheers, boys. Well, I do have one, but it's not a new one for me. I'm back to my roots, baby. It is the Three Heads kind in a can, though, if that counts for anything.
That's new. That's a variation.
Normally it's a bottle for me. So nice little IPA here for myself. Tom, what are you drinking?
I have Little Fluffy Clouds from Pro Pig.
Clouds
out of Burlington, VT. Yeah, baby.
That's adorable.
Yeah,
I love that.
They're not little clouds; they're little pigs.
What kind of beer is it?
It's a pale ale. It's really
pale
good.
Ale.
Yeah,
nice. Torpedo.
Quite tasty.
What do you got there, my guy?
I got a Hermit Thrush ale. It's called the Po Tweet. It's a kettle soured ale with local hops, and it's a little sour tasting, but it's very delicious in the end. And I think that's a good segue into our conversation about the Bills.
Yeah. Wait, real quick, Tom. I just had a thought for future pods, like during off seasons. We should do for our beer corner. Let's do like a monthly beer corner. So like maybe we all have to get beers from a different brewery, or the same brewery for 1 month. So we like feature a brewery for 1 month.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
All right,
cool. See if we get them to feature us.
Hey, how about that?
Any brewers out there who would like us to drink your beer on air?
My God.
We'll pay you money to do that. So
we'll buy them. Just tell us you're interested.
Yeah, just let us know that you want us to do it. We'll absolutely buy them. Oh my God. Well, speaking of new ideas and new beers and all that fun stuff, the Buffalo Bills have their hands on, officially on paper, some new coordinators on both sides of the ball. No big surprise here, but Joe Brady has officially been named the Bills offensive coordinator. So we go ahead and remove that interim tag. This is exciting for me because I mean, if for taking over an offense in the middle of the season, I thought he did like a remarkable job in terms of putting his thumbprint on this offense, which I would imagine without an entire offseason to do has got to be difficult. And I thought he did a really nice job of kind of removing Ken Dorsey's thumbprint and putting his own on there. And I'm excited to see what he can do with an entire offseason. So I think that'll be cool. Either you guys have thoughts on the Joe Brady here?
I'll wait before Tom gives his thoughts because I know he has some intelligent ones. I have a dumb question to interject with. So when an OC takes over during the year, you're dealing with quick turnarounds between games. Are you using kind of the same blueprint playbook as the previous OC? So Joe Brady came in using Ken Dorsey's playbook for intents and purposes, right?
Oh, 100%. Because they literally have a playbook. They have a iPad with plays on it. That is their playbook, right? That they've been studying and been working through. Joe Brady's been part of it, right? He was the quarterback's coach before this, so he at least has been part of this plan. So I'm sure he had some flair in there. At least, definitely was incredibly familiar with it. But you're right. Like going in, he's not giving. He didn't wipe the iPads clean and send him a new thing to figure out in a week. Like that's not happening. So he did pick up where Ken Dorsey left off, and honestly, I was kind of with Nigel. I didn't think that he was going to be able to do all too much. Like I thought it was going to be okay. It's going to be Ken Dorsey's offense, but he's going to maybe use it in a different way. But there was much more of a Joe Brady thumbprint. In what they were doing, which was cool. So I'm with Nige. I'm really excited to see what they do in a full offseason. Like give the guy a full offseason to work with the entire team, get these new rookies in. My only thing I want to see him to be able to do, use that X factor, use that weapon, Stephon Diggs, because he fell off the face of the earth at the end of that year and under his watch. So we had Diggs is going into 4 years of a contract here. So let's see Joe Brady use that weapon, because that was a part of the game that was missing, and I think we would have been better for it if we had the Diggs humming at the end of the year.
Yeah, agreed, absolutely. Now this one is, to me, I'm not going to say more significant because this is of course significant, but the one that we weren't quite as confident about. Finally today, Tuesday, January 30th, the Bills officially hired Bobby Babich as the new defensive coordinator.
Go, baby.
Yeah, huge. This guy, so the cool thing about Babs, I'm officially starting the Babs train. The cool thing about Babs is since he has been with Buffalo, which I want to say is like 2019 was his first season here. Tom, you have a thought there?
I'm going to do some producing. I'm going to get you a date.
Thanks, buddy. I'm going to say 2019. But when he first became a part of this team, everything that he touched, he was like Midas, dude. You touch that shit, it's going to turn to gold. Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde had all-pro seasons under Babs as the safeties coach on this team. Matt Milano had when Babs became the linebackers coach. Matt Milano had an all-pro year. Tremaine Edmonds had the best season he's had as a Buffalo Bill. And then I think we all pretty familiar with what happened with Terrell Bernard this season. So everything Bobby's been doing since he's been in Buffalo has been just awesome. So I'm excited to see what he can do now as the guy in charge of the whole defense. I'm sure there will probably be some growing pains here and there, like there is with any first-time coordinator, but he's got a great support system around him. And Sean McDermott, Al Holcomb is there. John Butler, who's the secondaries coach right now, is well respected in this league. So I think I like how well supported he is. And I think it's great that we kept him because he was drawing a lot of interest from a lot of different teams. Tom, you got a date for me?
Agreed. Yeah, no, it was 2017 when he came to Buffalo. You're 100% right. He was assistant.
2019.
You said 2019? Oh, yeah. So he came in. That was when, right? That's when Poyer and Micah came in and they were starting to get developed, right? And he was defensive backs coach first, then safeties coach, then linebackers coach, and now he's DC, which is awesome. He comes from the pedigree of NFL coaching as well. His dad, also Bob, I think. Bob Babich was the linebackers coach in Buffalo too. They were on the same coaching staff together for a little bit before Bob Senior retired in 2021, which is I always thought was kind of cool. So
Yeah.
a family affair. I agree that I'm super pumped that he's in. Like he's here. I think this is significant that there's all this hullabaloo about Sean McDermott chasing away coaches and blah blah. He's keeping these young stud coaches who want to stay in Buffalo and work with him. Like that's significant to me, right? And I think that Babich is going to have a really significant impact on this entire defense because of what he's able to do in specific position rooms. Like I think I'm excited for him to be able to have his fingers on everything now, right? I mean, we have Sean McDermott, arguably one of the best defensive back coaches in the game. Bobby Babich, arguably one of the best back seven coaches in the game. Like, let's get somebody in. Eric Washington left to go be DC in Chicago, so we're going to bring some new fresh blood in for D-line. Like, hopefully it's somebody who can come in and bring a new perspective, and let's roll, boys.
Yeah, I want to read a really nice tweet here from Tyrell Dodson after the hiring was announced. So, quote from Tyrell Dodson's Twitter account: "If I wanted to say everything I have about Bobby, I would run out of space. Best coach I've ever had, hands down. Believed in me before everyone else did. Rose the bar for myself. I'm not surprised one bit. You not only earned this, but much deserved. Love." So, I mean, when you have that kind of endorsement from players, what else could you possibly ask for as a fan?
Speaks volumes, bro. Like that's a guy who clearly cares about his players, and it's cool to see players root for their coaches. So yeah, man, go Bills, baby. And we got a whole off season for them to go sit in the lab and plan, boys.
Who was the so Babich drew interest from Green Bay, from Miami. There's a third team that I'm forgetting. Do you remember, Tom?
I don't remember. No, I would be.
It was
my butt.
Yeah, it's on there somewhere. But he drew interest from 3 different teams. Now, the big one that I needed to remember was Miami, and for Miami to be going after a defensive coach on the team, and to not get them feels extraordinarily significant to me. I'm not positive, how many guys would be better at stopping Josh Allen than the linebackers coach on the team. So really, really, really glad that he didn't do that. So yeah, I felt like that was significant for sure.
Yeah. Please don't go to Miami, dear Lord. Leslie Frazier is I was gonna say auditioning. That's the musician in me. Is interviewing for the DC job down in Miami too. So they're after some of that Buffalo sauce. They're trying to figure out what to do here. What's going on up north here? Yeah,
dude, for sure. Let's see here. Tom, you want to move us into our next thing? I'm doing a little bit of producing here myself.
I would love to. So our big focus this episode is to kind of unpack this season. This 2023-2024 season was tumultuous, to say the least, right? Lots of ups, lots of downs. We got the full Buffalo Bills, Buffalo sports fan experience. We took it to the face. So we wanted to kind of spend time, break it down. What were we thinking kind of in a couple different chunks of the season? We broke it up into 4 chunks here, and I'll kind of walk you guys through what happened in each chunk. And then we're just going to kind of spitball and talk through what were we feeling? What was the big points here? Where were we at as fans, and where was the team at as a team in each of these chunks of the season? Kind of unpack what went really well and what was clearly concerning throughout the year.
By the way, Giants with a third team.
That makes sense. I mean, Dayball saw Babich work firsthand. I'm sure he would be clamoring to have him come.
Yeah, sorry, that was the producing I was doing. So we're gonna Tom just said everything. I don't need to say it again.
That's very well said, Nigel. Thank you.
Knock us into chunk 1, Tom. Let's
get it. Here we go. All right. Well, before we hit chunk 1, I want just a quick 2 to 3 sentence vibe check of we just finished preseason. Bills are getting set to play Monday Night Football against the Jets on September 11th. What were we expecting from this team for this season? Give me 2 to 3 sentences. That one's for you, Nigel. Only 2 to 3 sentences.
Playing like their hair is absolutely on fire, just balls to the wall.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think expectations were sky high. They had they had the roster, they had the momentum and the disappointment from the loss to the Bengals last year. So I think expectations were very high to prove that wrong this year.
Go cleanse the palate. Go
Yeah.
reset and reestablish yourselves at the top of the AFC. Would we
Yeah.
agree?
Yep,
100%.
absolutely.
So
Anything
chunk
less
one.
than a division win would have been a miss.
Oh, yeah, and a berth into the playoffs, and they got scarier as we went. Yeah, Nige.
Real quick,
Yeah, you in the
because
front row.
thank you, Mr. Smith. Because I was absent last week from the pod, is it okay if I take a second and just get some thoughts off my chest about how I felt with the season ending? Is that okay? Give me 10 seconds or 30 seconds, we'll say.
Sure, pal.
Yeah, go for
Super.
it.
It's hard to do, but I'm kind of glad that I wasn't there because I don't think I would have the same feelings I do now. Obviously, I'm a very emotional sports fan, but I really am, like, now 2 weeks out, super proud of the football team this year because they did demonstrate one thing that I've been dying for a couple of years as a fan, and that is a sense of resiliency. And that was a trait that they demonstrated that they had this season that I thought was super, super significant. Obviously, I was pissed. I'm super pissed that we can't get by Patrick Mahomes, and it's really depressing. And I'm going to say this, and people might get mad about it, but I truly, and excuses are excuses, they don't matter, but I truly think that if we have a healthy Matt Milano and a healthy Terrell Bernard, I think that game is entirely different because what were the two ways that Kansas City beat us? It was Isaiah Pacheco, it was Travis Kelce. And you put in Terrell Bernard and Matt Milano, and I think you significantly decrease the impact of those two players. So those are my thoughts. I've been dying to say something about it on some kind of platform, and now I'm here and I have it, and that's all I have to say. Thank you for letting me do that, fellas.
Totally. I agree with you. Like, I think Trey White too. Like, if we had a healthy secondary,
Yeah.
I mean, when Kelsey and Pacheco weren't the option, who'd they go to? Rasheed Rice. Like, you shut down the wide receivers with a healthy one cornerback. It's another way you beat him. Like, it was a story all year. We'll get into that, but defense just getting hammered by injuries, and that
Going into the season, the cupboards were stocked. We had the horses in the stable. It's just like, all of a sudden the stables got awfully empty.
I think that was beginning the season. I think a lot of people were like, okay, we got a lights out defense. We got all-stars on every position kind of thing, especially in the secondary. Hopefully they can win us some games, and the offense peppers in there too. And the script flipped as the season went along, where it was, okay, we need the offense to absolutely bail out this hamstrung defense. At least from my perspective.
Now, Jake, your job in the next 18 weeks here, when I'm walking through, you got to tell us when you think that switched.
Ooh, okay. Deal. All right, let's kick it off, though. Start with
I'm going to reset this up just for our listeners who maybe lost track. We have 4 chunks of the season. I'm going to walk us through each of these weeks, talk through a quick, just 10-second highlights, and then we're just going to kind of react and talk about what were the big talking points here, good or bad. Chunk 1 was from week 1 to week 5. Week 1 was a 16-22 loss overtime to the Jets. We're 0-1. Week 2, a 38-10 slammer of a win against the Raiders. Week 3, a 37-3 win versus the Commanders. Week 4, maybe my favorite win of the season, 48-20 win against the Dolphins. And then week 5, the infamous 20-25 loss versus the Jaguars in London. And we end that first chunk 3-2. 3-2, excuse me. There it is. That's it, Jake. That's the ringer.
I think that's it. If it the Jets loss to begin the season was a heartbreaker. I think you replay that game and the Bills probably win. Aaron Rodgers goes down. That was unfortunate to see. We don't cheer for injuries, but like when he goes down, you smell blood in the water. Like you expect the Bills to win that game. And then the fact that they came out of it with the loss was an immediate kind of kick in the gut for the season, right? But anyways, as they go through that stretch, they rattle off 3 games against the Raiders, Commanders, and Dolphins. I thought the team looked lights out in a lot of those games, or all 3 of those games. And then they go across the Atlantic to London and play the Jaguars on a terrible field. It's an ugly game. They lose a couple of key defensive players. I think that was the game where they lost Matt Milano. They lost Daquan Jones. They had just lost Trey White the week before against the Dolphins. I think that was, for me at least, that was where I said, okay, we're really going to see what this defense is made of, and we need the offense to kind of chip in and pull their part, because they really they had been pulling their weight to that date so far. Like, they put up a ton of points against the Raiders, the Commanders, the Dolphins, but then in the Jaguars game they struggled. I remember they put together good drives, but it was too little too late. It was like in the fourth quarter when they put together really good drives. So I think it was that game for me. After that game, I was like, okay, the offense needs to figure their shit out, because they need to bail out this defense. They're doing everything they can, and they're shorthanded. So yeah. Did you guys feel the same differently? How'd you feel after chunk one?
I guess for me, dude, like the best way I can describe it for me is a lot of whiplash, right? Because like you're upset about the Jets game, and then you rattle off. Now, I didn't put a ton of stock in the Raiders and Commanders games, because those are teams we should beat the way that we did. But with Miami having the hype that they did, and then doing what we did to them, that's the moment where I was like, this might be a really fucking crazy team that we're about to watch. And then the Jaguars game happened. The biggest thing for me out of that chunk, that was the first thing where that was my first big knock on Sean McDermott this season, was I thought the way he handled all that travel to London and choosing to go when he did. And I just thought that was so terribly handled. And I remember coming out of chunk one, my overarching thing was, this offense is hot and cold. Clearly, I'm really upset about Sean McDermott. And that was my overarching thing.
Agreed. Yeah, I think it was the injuries in London. That 48-20 win versus the Dolphins. I'm gonna go back to that for a second. They had just beat the pants off, and the pants off the pants of the Denvers. Oh my God, the Denver Broncos. Like 70-20 or something like that, right? Scored more points than has ever been scored since the 1952. And it was insane. Just everybody was calling for the Dolphins to win the Super Bowl week 3. That's what the Dolphins do. They win the Super Bowl week 3 every year. And for the Bills to go in and win 48-20 was freaking really fun and great to see. Should we move on to chunk 2?
I'm ready. Hit me with it.
All right, chunk 2, week 6 to week 10. Week 6, 14-9 win versus the Giants. I was there. That was a scary game. Week 7, 25-29 loss to the Patriots. We are now 4-3. Week 8, 24-18 win versus the Buccaneers. We're now 5-3. At this point, we trade for Rasul Douglas, which we'll talk about more in specifics in the future, but that was the steal and a half of the century. Week 9, 18-24 loss versus the Bengals without Joe Burrow. We're 5-4. And then week 10, 22-24 loss versus the Broncos, 5-5. At that point, Dorsey gets the boot. He is canned. And that wraps up chunk number 2. Nigel, which of those losses was the most concerning loss in that chunk?
The Broncos. Yeah. I think that one was the most concerning, because now all those games that we lost were winnable. But that was the one to me that, Tom, correct me if I'm wrong, that was the one where we had 10 men on the field on the field goal, right?
12 men.
Correct. 12. Yeah. One extra.
If we had 10, we would have been fine.
We would have been fine. Yeah. Yeah. That was, and it was the way we lost that game in particular. The Patriots one was ugly too. But yeah, dude, that Broncos game, it was just like, and that, again, same thing I just said before after chunk 1. I was like, oh my God, Sean McDermott, like, you have to be kidding me. Like, in that moment, there's 12 men on the field. And that, to me, it's some people might argue that's on Matthew Smiley, the special teams coordinator. I put that solely on Sean McDermott. So, yeah, it was the Broncos game for me.
It was That was the one for me too. Yeah, it was the dagger, but it was kind of a culmination of things that we had seen over the past couple of weeks of just sloppy play, a lot of penalties, mental errors. Like it just kind of all came to a head in that game. I felt like drop passes, like you name it, things were not going well. Even in the games that they won against the Bucks, against the Giants, like that Giants game, that was as close of a win as you can get. Like that was down to the last play, white knuckles, didn't think they were going to pull it out kind of win, right? Like it just kind of seemed like came to a head.
That was going to be my point, that even the wins versus the Giants and the Buccaneers, they weren't quality wins. They were just, oh my God, we got through with the win. And then we had stupid losses to the Pats, the Bengals, and the Broncos. Like, yeah, that was the slide that I was like, okay, we something needs to be figured out here. And I think the firing of Ken Dorsey was in the same way that we can be critical of Sean McDermott. I'm glad that he didn't try and stay water and he pulled the plug and fired Ken Dorsey. Like that
flushed him.
Like, thank God, like, and then we put in Joe Brady, and we'll talk about it coming up here, but things started humming again. I think the decision to get rid of Dorsey, in the same way that we have to criticize Sean McDermott, we also have to say when he does something like makes the right decision, and I think that was absolutely the right decision.
Concur.
I think this is the first season, at least for me, that Sean McDermott's decisions have really come under serious fire, right? Like to before this, he's maybe kind of been
regular season. It's kind of been more postseason in the past, I would say.
Okay.
Right. This is the first year where everybody was like nitpicking all of his in-season decisions.
I think all that really started with 13 seconds, right? Because everyone, I mean, like, yes, Leslie Frazier's the defensive coordinator, but Sean McDermott's the head coach, head coach, defensive-minded guy. So I think he took a lot of the heat for that.
I think it started with the Texans loss, where you have a multi-score multi-score lead going into halftime against the Texans in the playoffs that first year.
Yeah, it could be. I think your personnel on defense. I think the personnel on defense between those two examples is different enough where, and at that point too, that's his first year or second year as a head coach, or third maybe, I can't remember. But he's earlier in his, it's the first time he's in the playoffs as a head coach.
Yeah,
I think, right?
No, he went that.
Oh yeah,
first year,
that's
right.
right.
They brought
first year
when they broke the drought. When that was with that was with Tyrod.
And that was against Jacksonville.
And then we had the down year, and then that next year they went in. They went in and played the Texans in that first.
Yeah, I don't know. I have a lot more grace for that one than I do 13 seconds. Personally, but
anything else we want to talk through here in chunk 2 before moving on?
I remember feeling super relieved that we fired Dorsey.
Yeah.
Just because something needed to change. The team needed an injection of something.
Yeah.
That's it.
I was beginning to be curious about Douglas, but chunk 3 starts off with the Rasul Douglas game, and that's when we really started getting really excited. So let's slide into chunk 3. Chunk 3 is little. This is we've slid in chunk 2. We need to get things together, and oh no, we don't feel too much better. Week 11, 32-6 win versus the Jets, 6-5. Jake and I were there. That was a freaking great game.
Dominant game.
We'll talk about this. Sorry, I should save my thoughts. Week 12, 34-37, heartbreaking overtime loss versus the Eagles. And we go into the week 13 bye, 6-6, and everybody has written off the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, they have. I think just to pull the conversation from chunk 2 to chunk 3, after that Eagles game was a big conversation about Sean McDermott. Going into overtime, he decided to kneel down and say, nope, fuck it. Let's just push this game to overtime. Meanwhile, your superstar quarterback is feeling himself, has like 2 timeouts and time on the clock to go down and try to win the game. And then he decided to kneel it out. I think that was a big decision point for Sean McDermott there. We even released an episode of you two chatting about the case for Sean McDermott. It's episode 18 and released on December 2nd if you're trying to listen. But I think that was big. That was huge conversation during that bye week is what is Sean McDermott doing with this team?
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I know for me at that point, that is when I felt the most negative about the team. And again, similar to the Broncos loss, it was just the way that we lost. Yeah, we had the great win against the Jets. I think the biggest thing for me coming out of that game in particular was just Joe Brady's dominance against what was still a very good defense. So that was exciting. He didn't put Sean McDermott under the microscope at all with that game because God knows who the quarterback even was for that game. I think it was Zach Wilson. But also, who gives a shit? Because no quarterback on that team had a pulse all year. So you're going into the Eagles game feeling like, okay, this is a big, big, big turning point opportunity to put the league on notice and take advantage of an Eagles team that at that point wasn't looking as dominant as they did early. They had a couple shaky wins and, in my opinion, really did feel vulnerable. And yeah, just, Sean McDermott taking the knee or choosing to take the knee, it felt cowardly to me. And again, just the way that we lost, it just felt like this team had no spine. And that resiliency thing I was talking about, which we'll get to soon, it felt incredibly absent at this point.
Agreed. Yeah, that was just that was when I was like, okay, this season might be over. Up until then, I still had hopes. I had hopes that we could figure something out, we could put something together, and that overtime loss was a real just kick in the nuts.
Yeah.
It was fun to see in that Jets win, where Sewell Douglas with this, he had like 2 interceptions and a fumble, a forced fumble. Like the guy was crazy, and it was great to see that he came in, and I was really excited about him. That was something else I remembered about this chunk. All right,
For sure.
looking forward. Now this is where things get fun, Bills Mafia. Chunk 4, week 14 to week 18.
But it didn't feel fun looking forward, right? It looked tough. The schedule was fucking tough, and they had to basically win 3, 4, 5 games to get in.
Oh yeah. No, they needed to win out. Like if you're hoping, if you wanted to go and you have a chance at the playoffs, you had to win the next 5. You had to, and there were some of the hottest teams in the NFL coming up here, divisional rivals coming up here, and I remember like trying to get any bit of positivity looking forward was you're kind of making it up and just hoping and praying. It wasn't really fueled in much. Week 14. This is also that stupid article got released right before this game about Sean McDermott.
Great point.
Right before this Chiefs game.
Great
right
point.
Here. Oh, bye week. Everybody got to talk about it for a week, and then Sean McDermott came in. Week 14, 20-17 win versus the Chiefs. Set in their house in Arrowhead. Week 15, 31-10 win versus the Cowboys in probably my second favorite game of the season.
I think James Cook's best game of the season too.
Oh, clearly. We are now 8-6. Week 16, 24-22 win versus the Chargers. Out west, 9-6. Week 17, 27-21 win versus the Patriots, 10-6. Then week 18, for the division, 21-14 win versus the Dolphins in Miami, in Hard Rock. We finished the season 11-6, AFC East champions, and the number 2 seed going into the playoffs.
Whew. I remember how excited I was after that Dolphins win. And now I'm still mostly sad, but that was a good feeling.
It felt so good.
It felt so good.
We pulled death from like the jaws of defeat, right? We broke the game is really what happened here.
Yeah. I need to make a goal for myself this season to be nicer to Dolphins fans. And I know that sounds shitty, but you know what, dude? The Bills also have an abusive father, and his name is Patrick Mahomes. And I know how I feel about it. And we are that for the Dolphins. And I think I need to be nicer this season because, God, that feeling,
who invited this guy?
That feeling, it's just such a terrible feeling, dude. Like when you just can't get around a guy, you know.
Who are you?
Nigel, who did we lose to for 20 years? 20. Who?
The Patriots.
Okay, how many years have we been winning over the Dolphins?
Since 2018, I think.
All right, Nigel, I'm going to mute his microphone for the rest of this podcast. My Lord, Nigel.
I know. Well, but you know, like
I have a different resolution, and mine's better. If we get to the middle of next season and we have a little bit of a slump, I'm no longer going to believe that the count is out. The last 4 seasons, we have been perfect after an NFC loss late in the season. We have been 22-0 over the last 4 seasons, closing out the season. I no longer want to feel too scared going into a slump towards the end of the season. That's something that I want to remember for next year, not Nigel's idea.
Wimpy baby one. my dumb baby wimpy loser.
Yeah, come on. So
I don't know.
I want to go back to that Cowboys game. And Jake, I think you want to talk about James Cook because he had the game of his life right here. And this is where everybody got really excited because we're like, oh boy, do we have just a star in the making with James Cook.
Oh, I would love to talk about James Cook. Yeah, I think that was he had a great season up till that point. It's not like that was a turning point for him. I think the only sense that it was a turning point is that everybody started noticing, right? Like I think that was a nationally televised game, and people started to pay attention to what James Cook was doing. He dominated the Cowboys. I don't remember stats or anything like that, but just the feeling was that like he just throttled the Cowboys.
Yeah, that was so much fun to watch. It was the most dominant win, and I say dominant like in the sense that, like, okay, when your quarterback is Josh Allen and he's as incredible as he is, and your receivers are, you know, Stephon Diggs and Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox and whoever else, right? Like, even if you go back, Cole Beasley and John Brown and all these cats, right? It's easy to get to a point where like you're just faster and better than the other team, right? And you can win like that. But when you are running the ball down an opposing team's throat and there is nothing that they can do about it except sit there and take it, that to me is like the most dominant, soul-snatching way that you can win a football game, because it is the most physical sport on the planet. And when you're getting out physical to that point, it just robs the will out of you. Like, what can you do? The answer is nothing. Yeah.
Nothing.
You just
it was amazing.
You just have to get through the game. You have to get out of that game. And okay, I know I always feel stupid doing this, but having played sports growing up, I remember playing in those football games where the opposing team was just bigger and faster and stronger and better. And it's just like, just keep running the ball so we can all go home. Right? And like,
get that clock running.
You have to imagine the Cowboys felt that a little bit in this game.
Oh, you got it right. They came to Western New York. They were a hot team. They were okay. They're gonna go try and win the NFC East, be dominant, and
and they did. Didn't help them, but
yeah. I think another significant game in this chunk was that win against the Chiefs. I know we cannot beat them again in the postseason, but man, we've done pretty well in the regular season. So it's nice to know that they're vulnerable, right? It's not impossible. It's really a timing thing, and we have to figure out. The Bills have to figure out how to get those wins in the postseason. Go ahead.
Yeah, I gotta be honest, man. I push back on that one because we should have lost that game, and we didn't. But if Kadarius Toney isn't an absolute moron, we lose that game 100%. And it's a crazy play that we would have lost on, and it would have been a situation where it's like, this is just the season for the Bills, right?
Yeah.
Like, but in addition to that game, I hated the Chargers win. I didn't feel good after that win.
Nope,
and
that didn't feel great.
I hated the Patriots win.
Yeah, it was close.
Both of those. So 3 out of 5 of those wins, I truly felt not good about. And it was, even though we were winning, it was hard for me to find a way to have any confidence because, we should have lost the Chiefs game. We're scraping by Easton Stick and the Chargers. Like that. None of that shit screamed, this is a championship football team to me.
You're right.
That's the way the NFL goes. It's you're walking on a knife's edge. Like some of them go your way just slightly, and some of them don't go your way just slightly. Like kind of it corrected from earlier in the season where some games that we probably should have won, but were really close, did not go our way. Towards the end of the season, it kind of went the other way and corrected. If corrected is the right term.
I'm with Jake, and I think part of that is this team wills that into existence, right? You're this resilient team that you're talking about wills that into something that can happen. Because you're right. Look at any of these the playoff games the last 2 weeks. Like it's on these crazy margins that unfortunately we were on the losing edge of. But man, if two things go our way in that Chiefs playoff loss, like I think we moved on at least. You know, maybe we're going playing the Ravens in Baltimore. Like it's just, man, it just it. And this is kind of I just thought watching the freaking Chiefs going to the Super Bowl again. Great, awesome, you know. And maybe we save that conversation for next week before the Super Bowl. But
Cash cow.
Yeah,
Cash cow.
My thought there though is like, man, they keep getting there, right? They keep getting themselves in a place to get lucky and be good. Yes, they're very good. Patrick Mahomes can play out of his mind in the playoffs, but they also have a lot of things that go their way, and you gotta just continue to have darts thrown at the board. And I like to say that the Bills have been able to throw darts at the board too. Unfortunately, ours are going, you know, maybe aren't even hitting the board and flying all over the place, but we're still have darts to throw. So I feel good about that, knowing that we have a chance. We also have a chance. And it's unfortunately been really shitty because it hasn't been the right chance, but I don't know. We've at least been able to take stabs at this thing.
I think the Bills need to start marketing Haley what's her name? Steinfeld. Yeah. They need to start marketing her in the same way as Taylor Swift. We need to start pumping some dollars into the NFL's bottom line.
No, because
leave it at that. As far as my thoughts on,
I say no to that because I would never wish that on another football fan ever, dude. I'm so stoked that Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift are in love. The three of us are in love. I know it's the greatest feeling on the planet. Everyone deserves to feel that. I am thrilled that they're so into each other. I don't need it shoved down my throat.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
That's all. I don't care about Taylor Swift. I music does nothing for me. It's great that they're in love. I truly am happy they're in love. I think Travis Kelce, I can't stand him, and that's just because I'm a Bills fan. I think he's a great dude. I'm sure he treats her great. They deserve to be in love. I just don't need it shoved down my fucking throat.
I love Travis Kelce. I think he's hilarious. I think he's fun. I think he's a great dude. But when he's on the field playing against the Bills, I fucking hate the man. No, I don't give a shit if he's happy. Like when they're sorry, hold on. I don't give a shit if he's happy when he's playing the Bills. Otherwise, in his life, yeah, of course, absolutely.
Yeah.
But
anyway,
man, yeah, it's tough to watch. We don't have to get into a whole conversation about if there's scripting or not in the NFL, but man, if there is, it's fucking blatant. I saw a financial stat go by that the Travis Kelce Taylor Swift relationship has added $330 million to the NFL's bottom line for the year. Of course, they want that team to go to the Super Bowl. Of course, they want that team to go to the Super Bowl. There's no way they don't. But are the decisions that the NFL makes as far as who's reffing those games play into that? Probably. I'm not saying that they're not great athletes or have great games and they show up to play in the playoffs. They do. And it's shameful that the NFL's script, if that is a thing, again, not saying that it is, but if that's the case, I think it takes away from how good of athletes they are, that is even in the back of all of our minds.
I think we're just a bunch of paranoid fans that want things to go our way. I don't think there's no way. There's no way. It's ours. We're grasping at straws to try and explain why the Bills can't freaking figure it out in the playoffs.
Stop. This is how you grasp straws.
I go to the straw basket in the cupboard and I go, ha, he, ha, hoo. Yeah.
Well, Tom, thank God doctors do mammograms and not at home treatment. So we'll move on from that.
Well, Well, on that note, Jake, can you roll us into the bold, baseless, bodacious season predictions?
Tom,
Look back on what stupid things did we predict, and did we get anything close to right?
Tom, you know I love you. I'm so sorry. But anyways, yeah, let's get into it. All right, so folks, earlier in the year, before game 1 of the NFL season, the three of us did a few big, overarching season predictions, and we called them the bold, baseless, bodacious season predictions. So what we wanted to do is look back on those predictions and figure out how we did. And we wanted to do that in a fairly unbiased way. So what I've done, only me, have looked up the exact predictions and the exact actual stats that happened. Tom and Nigel have no idea what the predictions were other than a foggy memory and what the actual stats were. So
We're
with that
very
said,
good at being clueless. This is great.
with that said, we're going to go through. So Tom, I'm going to start with you. We're going to start with one of your predictions, and that revolved around Dalton Kincaid. Ring a bell? Ring a bell?
Yeah, I do. I think I predicted him very highly.
You did. You had some lofty expectations for our boy Dalton. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read you his predicted stats, which was 60 plus receptions, 700 plus receiving yards, and 5 plus touchdowns. And now what I want you to do is give me the over-under on both of on all of those stats. Over 60 receptions, over 700 yards, over 5 touchdowns, or under.
I'm going to go over 60 receptions, over 700 yards, and under 5 touchdowns.
Okay, you're close. You're close. He went 73 for 91 on receptions. So,
baby,
13 over your prediction.
Under 700, right?
You're correct, Nigel. Yeah, 673. 673.
Oh, that was so close.
It's barely.
Close.
It's
That's
barely
within the margin of error. I'm taking that.
But as a tight end, 9.2 yards on an average reception. Love to see the stats there. And then he finished the year with only 2 touchdowns, which I thought sounded low, but that's what happened.
Yep.
But man, still, what an incredible season from him, yeah?
I'm so excited about Dalton Kincaid. I can't wait.
Excited.
I cannot wait. Let's give Joe Brady a whole offseason to go work with him. Let's give Dalton Kincaid a full offseason. He was a rookie. He did not get a full NFL offseason. He was doing draft things. He was getting drafted. He had to go do what he didn't get the full effects. Let's get him in a full. I hope him and Josh find some beautiful spot in California out by the cantaloupe farm that the Allens have. And let's just let him throw just every day. Get up, have some coffee, throw some balls around, and then
eat
go
a cantaloupe
play golf.
or two.
Get a cantaloupe or two, go play some golf. Let's do that for 5 weeks of the summer. And oh my Lord, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn, man. He's got the sky's the limit for that guy.
I feel good about my prediction about that one. What's the next one?
I don't mind. All right, Nigel, we'll go to you. Ed Oliver, our man Ed. You predicted that he would have 7 sacks in the 2023 season. Over or under that number? What was the actual result?
Over, baby. 10 and a half.
Yes, sir. No,
way over,
close,
baby.
Close.
Oh, okay.
9.5.
9.5.
So the leader of the team did have 10.5. Can you name the player?
Leonard Floyd.
Yes, sir. You're on it. Ed Oliver had 9.5 sacks for a total of 64 yards loss. The man had an incredible season. I thought 7 sacks was a good prediction, but maybe a little high. He went above that.
Yeah.
For a D tackle, 7 sacks is a very high number. That's a very high number for a D tackle. And add it out, Nigel, go ahead and talk about your little baby boy here.
No, dude, I think the biggest thing right now with Ed is, and Brandon Bean, thank you, because I think if they chose to pick up the 5th-year option and not just extend him, I'm confident right now that deal. So we're paying him $16 million a year right now.
Mm-hmm.
I feel pretty confident saying that deal, had we not done that, we'd probably be paying him $25 million a season, maybe 24 if Ed was feeling generous. So an absolute steal and a half at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I mean, that many sacks from a 3-tech defensive tackle is absolutely outstanding.
It's big. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right, you guys each have one more prediction that I want to get into because they're actually interesting, but I'd like to rip through mine really quick because they're really not that interesting.
Okay.
First of all, my first prediction was James Cook is outperformed by Dalvin in game 1, but overall, James has the better season. Obviously, James Cook had the
Nailed it.
far better season, but he actually outperformed his brother in game 1 too, so a little bit wrong on that front. And then the second one, this one was mostly for fun, but I said that the Bills would be involved in games that contained a safety 2 times, and that happened exactly 0. So let's move on. Anyways, Tom, I think back to you here for your next prediction and second prediction is that the Bills secondary, cornerbacks and safeties, as a noob, I can confirm that real quick. Cornerbacks and safeties. All right, sweet. You predicted that they would have 15 interceptions. Do you think they went above or below?
I know it's fucking close. I'm going above because I'm feeling good.
Ooh, you're both saying above?
I thought above too.
You're both wrong.
Unfortunately,
no. I wanted you to be right. The Bills as a whole had 18 total interceptions throughout the season. But only 10 of them came from the secondary.
Oh, man. But I think 18 resets the Bills' interception record from a long time ago. Like, I think it's been many years since the Bills have had more than 15 interceptions, which is why I think I said that.
Wait a second. I think, hold on, Jake, pop quiz. What positions make up the secondary?
Cornerback and safety.
And linebacker.
Oh, shit.
Yep. So this is hold on. This is a learning and teaching moment.
I thought it was, this is good. I thought it was only those 2.
Nope, your secondary is considered linebacker.
No shit.
Was my prediction secondary, or did I say cornerbacks and safeties?
No, you said secondary.
So so then do I get it?
Hold on. Let's see.
Boom, boom.
Oh, folks, this is
Boom, 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 ba-dum. I'll let the folks at home finish that.
Yeah, this is good. Wait, maybe you guys should discuss Nigel's next prediction while I look this up.
Wait a second here.
Unless you've got it.
Now I might be wrong. I was very positive about this. Hold on, this is fun.
Oh boy.
Oh, this is a nightmare. This is a disaster.
I'm glad this is an audio-based podcast.
Wait, are we now waffling about what constitutes the secondary?
Yes.
Oh, if I was right, it was a complete sham, and I had no knowledge to feed into it. It was just a lack of opinion. But
okay, so Jake, I think I might be wrong. This is what's secondary about the secondary in American football. Why is it called that? It includes the cornerback and safeties, as well as the nickel or dime backs that are in cover positions.
Who's the newbie now? I think Jake gets to take the mantle, and I think you have to ask a newbie.
I have to be.
All right. Well, that stinks because that means my prediction did not go. But I'm very excited that the Bills reset their interception record from many years back.
So let's look at it both ways, just for clarity. So a defensive end, AJ Epinesa, is in no part of the secondary, correct?
Correct.
Okay, but if we count linebackers, Tom, that's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
Ooh.
If you count linebackers, you nailed it.
I love revisionist history. This is great.
Me too.
Perfect for me. This is perfect for me.
Let's not go any further back than the beginning of 2023, or else we're going to get ourselves in trouble. But yeah, revisionist history is the move.
I have seen enough verifiable sources to hand up and admit that I am absolutely incorrect.
It is only cornerbacks and safeties?
It is only cornerbacks and safeties. Linebackers are not considered part of that.
Now,
this linebacker here has been saying
pro.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say this guy. He's been thinking he's been in part of the coverage this whole time. He should have been rushing the passer.
I should have been. Maybe that's why I never started.
Nigel, I'm so sorry. I don't mean to. Throw
Are you
you
kidding
under
me?
the bus there.
I deserve every single bit of that.
Well, anyways, that's fuel for the fire. Tom, your prediction was wrong. The secondary only had 10 interceptions, with the Bills having 18 total.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we go on to Nigel's second prediction. Are you boys ready?
Yeah, I don't even
more than
remember what
ready.
the second prediction was.
So, Nigel, your second prediction was that Josh Allen, our boy, our quarterback hero, would lead the league in passing yards, which I thought was a bit of a hot take, and he would lead the league in touchdowns, which I thought was a pretty good bet. So,
Okay.
the touchdown one is probably easy, right? Where do you think he landed there?
Well, now wait a minute. We have to double check. Was it total touchdowns or passing touchdowns?
You didn't specify, so I interpreted that as total touchdowns.
Okay.
I do have the stats on passing touchdowns too.
Yeah, I know the passing touchdowns were not first, but I believe 51 was absolutely the most.
Total touchdowns. He had 44 total touchdowns.
Oh, did I just pull 51 out of my ass? I thought you just said 51.
Did I say 51? I don't
Maybe
think
not.
I said 51.
I don't know.
Did not.
Okay.
Oh
all right.
boy.
Whatever
Oh,
it was, I believe it was the most.
So Josh Allen, let me clear the air. Josh Allen did lead the league in total touchdowns.
Yes.
With 44. He had 29 passing touchdowns and 15 rush touchdowns.
Maybe that's where I got the 51 from. I just had 15 in my head and just decided to do the little
dyslexia.
Pop quiz. Who had the second most touchdowns, total touchdowns in the league? And what was the difference?
Oh, man.
They're both quarterbacks.
My guess would be Jalen Hurts would be my guess.
My guess would be Dak Prescott.
That's incredible because they were tied for second with 38.
No!
That's great. That's good shit. That's good shit.
That's awesome.
Hey, bro, we're so freaking smart.
We know how to football.
Just don't ask any questions about the secondary.
Correct, because I don't know what it is.
But yeah, on the flip side, Josh Allen did perform, in my opinion, great on passing yards, but he finished fourth, not first.
Yeah, first. Yep.
He finished behind Tua of the Dolphins, Goff of the Lions, and Dak Prescott of the Cowboys. Yep. The margin was pretty slim, but he generates so much offense with his legs. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I'm not mad that he's not top of the league with passing yards at all.
No, that's fine.
No, we have the cheat code.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that cheat code doesn't get us very far. Well, as far enough in the playoffs, but we'll work on that.
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay. I'm gonna take that take back. He absolutely did everything he needed to. It was other things. We'll talk about that. That's gonna be another podcast, probably, huh?
Was there a second part of that prediction there, Jake?
No, sir. That was it. That Josh Allen would lead the league in passing yards and touchdowns. That's all we had.
But not passing yards. Okay, cool. Well, damn, Tom, we didn't do terrible.
We did pretty good.
Yeah,
I feel really, and I feel like I was close, and I had the right idea for what was happening on my prediction. So I feel good about it.
Yeah. Well, folks, before I hand it over to Tom here, normally we do a quick touch on the Sabres here, but we're coming up on we try to keep it around an hour for everybody, and we're coming up on that. And I am just dying. The desire that I feel, the aching need that I have to just lay in about Don Granato is going to take more than a minute and 30 seconds. So we're going to save that for a different pod.
Yeah.
But Tom, you want to take everybody home, buddy?
I sure would. Everybody, thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts for spending some time with us. I know we're not always the most, educational or informationally accurate, but we're entertaining, I think. At least we entertain ourselves. That's the important part.
That's true.
It would mean a lot to us if you could please share this episode, give us a like, give us a follow on all of our social medias. We are trying to grow this podcast over this off season and get ready and go flying into the next season. So any help, and it starts with and ends with you guys. So any help you could, please sharing and liking and any form of our social medias or our content, that would be really incredible. You can follow us on Instagram, on X, on TikTok, on our freshly minted YouTube channel, all at Let's Go Buff Pod with 2 Fs. These are my pals, Jake and Nigel. My name is Tom, and you're listening to the Let's Go Buffalo podcast. We're sending you love wherever you are. Go Bills, go Sabres, let's go Buffalo.